We asked, what comes next? And we found that there are some very interesting possibilities. One of these possibilities is reincarnation. Belief in reincarnation is most common and most ancient in the religious traditions of India. An important contrast between Indian traditions and Western thought is how each views time. In the West, images for time are most likely to be in straight lines, from birth to death, period, and from creation to the end of the world. But for India, images of time are likely to be circles, from birth to death to rebirth. Within cycles that are cosmic. Each soul cycles from life to life within a cycle of years called a yuga. And a yuga can last thousands upon thousands of years. Each yuga cycles within a greater cycle of yugas, each declining until the universe of appearances is destroyed and recreated endlessly. This is called samsara, the endless cycle of births and deaths. A soul is entangled in samsara by karma, the law of cause and effect tied to one's actions. The aim of life is to attain release from samsara, overcoming karma, and so attaining liberation, moksha. That's a little of what India's religious traditions tell us about reincarnation, but that's from the outside. What do these traditions tell us about reincarnation as if from the inside? Very interesting insights come from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The Tibetan Book of the Dead comes from the Buddhist tradition. Impermanent are all component things. They arise and cease. That is their nature. They come into being and pass away. Release from them is bliss supreme. All is impermanent, including the ego self, which tries to preserve the illusion of its permanent existence through the negative strategies of ignorance, desire, animosity, jealousy, pride, and stubbornness. But if one is to attain liberation, one must dissolve the illusion of the permanent ego self and become enlightened. One must attain true awareness that is at once the void, unformed emptiness, and vibrant radiance. On the perilous journey of death, a guide for unmasking illusions and seeking true awareness is the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Now you, dear child of enlightenment, pay heed to the guide as you undertake this perilous journey. Listen, dear child of enlightenment, you are entering the intermediate state between death and rebirth. You have just now reached the moment when you should seek a path. Pay attention. Just as your breathing stops, you will begin to experience the primal radiant light. This light is reality itself. It is your primordial mind, simple in its emptiness and its radiance. Recognize it for what it is. Go into that light and you will attain liberation. Dear child of light, now is the time to let go of the illusory joys and sorrows of the world, and in your new freedom aspire to universal love and compassion. Now is the time. Do not be afraid. Do not let it pass you by. Oh, my dear child of light, the opportunity has passed, and you are still entangled in the illusions of personal life. You see your family grieving and you say, "I'm here, I'm all right." But no one can see you or hear you. Oh, you think, I must be dead. Yes, dear child of light, you are dead. And now you must draw on whatever mindfulness you have cultivated in your life, for great temptations lie ahead. You must not fear. Remember, all that you will experience are merely projections from your own mind. It is all illusion. Next, dear child of light, there dawns the radiance of consciousness in its natural purity, blue like the sky. But then, the dull white light of the proudest of the earth glows and begins to penetrate you. Your entangling karma of pride and arrogance will tempt you to flee in fear from the brilliant blue light and will attract you to the softer white light. Do not flee the pure blue light. Turn away from the dull white light, lest you be lost among the proud of the earth and continue to be reborn and die. Pray to the divinity of the blue light, save me from the dangers of the death phase, and guide me to perfect enlightenment. Oh, my poor dear child of light, you have fled from the radiance of pure consciousness, driven by your entangling karma of anger and hatred. Now you experience the light of awareness of forms. Seek refuge in this awareness and pray to the divinity within it to have compassion on you. Do not be attracted to the soft, smoky light of the hell realm of anger and hatred. Let go of those feelings and cling to the light. Oh, dear child of light, you still may attain liberation. Let go of the fear that drives you back into the endless cycle of births and deaths. Listen. Now arises the yellow light of pure earth consciousness. Do not turn away from this dazzling light. Trust it and let it penetrate your heart. It is the light of your own primordial mind. Do not let the illusory blue light of human pride entice you. Trust the true light. Now comes the brilliant red light, the fire of divine compassion. Let this light penetrate your heart and let yourself be embraced by divine compassion. Oh, but the illusory yellow light of your entangling karma of desire and greed tempts you away into rebirth, into insatiable hunger. Turn away from it and cling to the light of compassion. Now comes the brilliant green light, the winds of true motivation. Let this light empower you to overcome temptations and do what you must in order to attain enlightenment. Beware the soft red light of entangling envy and jealousy. Do not let such emotions distract you from what you must do. Dear child of light, now the whole pantheon of enlightened ones comes to aid you, the full richness yet unity of your primordial mind. Do not fear them. Do not shrink from them as if they exist in some other realm. They exist only in the four directions and the depth of your own heart. Here to guide you is the light of pure consciousness, the light of forms, the light of earth consciousness, and the light of compassion. All these manifestations are but projections of your own primordial mind. Recognize them as such, dear child of light, and you will dissolve into the purity of a celestial enlightened one. Oh, my dear child of light, you have failed to recognize the peaceful powers within you. Now, because you cling to the illusion of your ego self, the terrifying, wrathful powers are loosed against you. A murderous rage like that of a wild animal. Selfishness that devours everyone who comes near. Anger that rips the heads off all it meets. Even the Lord of Death, surrounded by blood-drinking demons and grotesque witches twirling dripping intestines. Dear child of light, since you, entangled in karma, have clung to your ego self, these wrathful powers have come to purge you of these illusions. Do not fear them. All these terrors, too, are merely projections of your inner consciousness. Recognize them for what they are, and they will simply disappear. And now, if you can finally let go of the illusion of your ego self, even now you may attain liberation. Oh, dear child of light, you have not understood the instructions you were given, and so now you are fleeing and trying to hide. Now you sense yourself moving, being drawn down, entangled by karma. Listen carefully, child of light. You are being dragged back into the cycle of births and deaths. Your only escape now is to visualize the Lord of Compassion, and so fill your mind with primordial light. Only in that way can you save yourself from entering into a womb. If that didn't work, O child of light, you are on the brink of entering into a womb. You will now see couples making love. You will feel desire. But hold off in mindfulness, for you must be careful to choose a womb that will bring you to advantageous life. You will begin to see an array of places and conditions for your rebirth. You will be attracted to some as beautiful and promising. You will be repelled by others as ugly and disgusting. Dear child of light, resist their attraction and resist your revulsion, for any promise of safety is an illusion, and any threat of harm is a deception. You must remain detached, free from desire and from aversion. Rather, dear child of light, seek a place where your spiritual growth will be nourished, and you can resolve to devote your future life to compassion toward others. Go now, dear child of light. Return once again to the human realm, and may this new life bring you to liberation.